Hi, I'm Kathryn Delaney, and this is your daily tarot reading for September 4th, 2020. It's Friday. I hope you all had a wonderful week. I had a very busy week at this herbalism school that I work at. We were learning medicine making. I taught people how to make a proper infusion and decoction, honey pharmacy, how to make tinctures, and how to infuse oils, and how to make salves. So it was a really busy week. I'm sorry I missed you on a couple of those days, but I'm back. It's Friday, and we do have a reading for today. The first card that we have for today is the Knight of Swords. The swords, as I've mentioned before, are associated with a lot of mental energy and thoughts that are being processed and moved at a very, very fast pace. I want to bring the vision of like the grasshopper that jumps from one situation into another situation or decides to and is up in the air kind of mid-flight and is like, oh crap, what is it going to look like when I land? And then trying to mentally like draw pictures of it and try to plan for it and getting identified and really worked up on how things are going to look, and everything's moving really, really fast. But the message in this card is to let things land. Don't worry, you'll figure things out when you land. Things are definitely in motion and moving really fast, so make sure that you take care of yourself while you're in flight. Sounds like that's a flight attendant. The second card that we have for today is the Chariot, also known as the Charioteer, in the one that I created. It is the seventh major arcana. The major arcanas are life lessons and situations that we learn about ourselves that we have to face and move forward with. And it being that it's the number 7, it is a combination of the number 3 and the number 4. And in numerology, that would be considered a number of self-mastery because it has the law of 3, which is the sacred trinity, and the law of 4, which are the 4 elemental laws combined in its number. So it's a number of self-mastery and how we move and interact with the world. As you see in this card, the person is inside of a chariot that's being led by these 2 creatures or sphinx or horses in some decks. And these are emotions, and the reins that are supposed to be attached to these creatures are of the mind. And the Bhagavad Gita actually says, the self is the rider in the chariot of the body, of which the senses are the horses and the mind are the reins. Pretty beautiful little statement there of how we move through life. And the character that's in this card is leaving its familiar surroundings and going out into the world. And so there is a message in this card of asking you, like, what is leading you as you go through life, and leaning into that and making sure that it's not just like a conditioning or something that comes from, like someone else, that something that someone else is whispering in your ear, but that it's more from a sense of nurturing and heart and where you're being called to go out into life. The character in this card is very, very armored. Part of that is an association with the symbol of Cancer, the zodiac symbol of Cancer, that is, which is ruled by the moon. And I thought it was really interesting just to look at, for instance, where Cancer is right now, astrologically, like what planets are in Cancer right now. And Venus is actually in Cancer right now, and Aries, which is, you would say, is like the partner of Venus, is in a square relationship with Venus, which is not necessarily a easy relationship with Venus right now, because when you have a circle of the zodiac, there are square relationships, which is a 90-degree angle, and then there's a triangular or trine relationship, which is a 120-degree angle, and those are said to be easier relationships when the planets align that way. Whereas if they align in a square relationship, it can be like a difficult, hard turn when you consider like movement and the degree of an angle. And so right now we have Mars and Venus in square, and they're in its exact square at 27 degrees because Mars is in Aries. And then we also have two planets in Capricorn, which aren't in an exact square, but they're really close. And that's Saturn, which is in 25 degrees Capricorn retrograde, and Pluto, which is in 22 degrees retrograde. And so you have a planet of transformation and responsibility, which are being kind of self-reflected and reflected on in the realm of like life path and reputation and what we want to do with our lives. And then they're being squared by Mars, which is the planet of aggression and change and willfulness, and Venus, which is the planet of compassion and relationship. So those are all in square. And so, you know, if you were familiar with your natal chart and what the planets looked like in the moment that you were born, you can look at where where Libra, the sign of Libra, is in your chart, and see, you know, where that energy might support you, because it's the fourth leg of those three-legged squares of Capricorn, Capricorn, Aries, and Cancer. So Libra and relationships and one-on-one relationships might be a place of relief. But that's a side note. So for today, it's more of a sense of, you know, where are you going out into the world and what's driving you, and are you able to have a sense of self-mastery so that you have self-discipline despite how you might get poked and triggered out in the world. Like, can you still move forward and move through it despite what might trigger your emotions and might trigger your thoughts? Can you have a center and an anchor within you, within those cycles and those changes? Now, this third card that we have today is the Three of Pentacles. This is the master craftsman. This is an individual that's building something, that's realizing their capabilities and their skill set, and they're putting them to use and able to make income. And so you may, you know, be going out into new environments and doing new things ultimately, and realizing that you do have new skill sets that, or not necessarily new skill sets, you've always had skill sets that can earn you money and bring income and stability into your life. And this is someone who is building that for themselves. So I do feel that, you know, this change that is bringing us out into the world is ultimately bringing us to a better place in our own little personal universe. So that is our reading for today. I know I kind of went on a tangent about what's going on astrologically, but I just think it's so interesting. And you know, I often notice when I give people personal readings, and there's because I was trained to give people astrological readings, which means that I offer 12 card readings that are centered around the astrology system. So each card represents a different house, and we look at the different areas of your chart, but through the tarot system. And then I also look at transits that go on in reflection to your chart at this particular time. And it's always interesting to me when major arcana, which represent specific planets or specific zodiac signs, show up in areas of someone's chart, and kind of reflect on how important that that influence is on that person's life at this point in time. So I just think it's interesting. So I apologize for that tangent, but I'm not super sorry for that tangent, because I hope you're interested in it too. The stars and all the planetary bodies that surround us. So I hope you have a wonderful weekend, a beautiful day, and I will see you soon. Take care of yourself, and blessed be.